everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Baseball Talk Radio Show. I'm Gary Mack, and I'm joined, as always, on this, I guess it's a chilly, wintry type of day again. But joining me is Mr. Rich Baxter. Rich, how the heck are you?
Doing great, Gary. Thank you very much. And I always look forward towards your weather forecast for our Sunday shows here. Yeah, it's damn cold out for being spring tomorrow. 32 degrees right now in southern New Jersey, where I'm doing the podcast from. I just came in, but it's a beautiful sunshiny day out there. And we only got about 10 days left, 11 days if you want to count it, to opening day for 2023.
Yeah, that's for sure. And it's not going to be as sweet as it was the last time we talked. WBC, I'm kind of torn here. I was sitting here and I was going to wear my WBC hat that I have here that I got a couple years ago. I went to a qualifier in Brooklyn a couple of years ago, but then I thought, I'm a little disappointed in it after what happened to the Mets closer, Edwin Diaz, who has been lost for the season due to injury.
That can happen. I knew you were going to bring that up. I didn't know how long it would take you, but I knew. I knew. Judging from your last Mets musings, that the world stops, and I agree. I agree. He was a big part of the Mets. But that's going to happen. I mean, that's going to happen whether he's on the mound in spring training. It's going to happen here. I don't think you can blame the World Baseball Classic. Now, if Trey Turner goes down, then I will. But
then you will. Okay. But it did sour me on it because of that, and because of the fact, Freddie Freeman got hurt, another big name. Jose Altuve got a busted finger last night, and he's going to miss considerable time. And, I think it was his thumb, if I remember correctly, and that's a tough one. Thumbs are tough to come back from sometimes. So I'm just putting it out there that these injuries, are coming about. But what really, really concerns me is that the attitude of some of these players. And I'll give you my own player. Francisco Lindor came out and said that Met fans, it hurts, but to a lot of the players, they'd rather be here. They'd rather play in the World Baseball Classic than a World Series. To which one Met fan on Twitter replied, "Yes, but Puerto Rico isn't paying you $34 million a year." And I think that's the attitude that a lot of these players would rather play here than play, in the World Series. They'd rather represent their country, which I understand, but their country isn't paying them a salary.
Yeah.
And, that it's a cavalier attitude that personally I don't like because of that.
It all comes back to, I think, where we live, the United States. Now, there's a lot of nationalities that are proud of where they come from. We just had St. Patrick's Day the other day, a couple of days ago now, after we're doing the podcast here. The Irish aren't very vocal about being, oh, I'm Irish, Irish proud. Certain nationalities are. I don't want to go into different things. Italians are very proud. They're always going to let you know they're Italian. Well, they're Americans first, in my opinion. So, yeah, I can jump on board with you there. A lot of people grasp onto their roots, their ancestry. You were born in America. You're an American. You're not tied to any other country, maybe by nationality with ancestry, but you're American first. And that always sticks in my craw a little bit about certain, if you want to go to certain nationalities, they're very nationalistic, but you're American first. Don't forget it. Yeah, like you're saying, don't forget who's paying your salary. This is a fun thing, the World Baseball Classic. I think it's sort of like the World Cup a little bit. And I don't like the different players are split up on different teams representing their own countries, but that's just the way it is. I mean, you have Mike Trout on America, you have Trey Turner. The only reason the Americans advanced into the semis is Trey Turner. He hit a grand slam. He put the other team to down, or else we wouldn't be into the semifinals and possibly going for the
Right.
finals in this. So, and another team, Mexico, stunned Puerto Rico. They put them to bed. Edwin Diaz's team. So, it's the team that's playing the best at that particular point in time. I think the Phillies proved that last year in the World Series. They excelled the best, even though they were the last seed to make the World Series or be eligible for the World Series, I should say. They made the most of what they had at that time. So, the World Baseball Classic is the same thing. It's not necessarily the best team, although it looks like it might be USA and Japan for the finals. But it's interesting nonetheless. But I understand exactly what you're saying, Gary.
Well, I have a confession to make.
Yes.
I am actually rooting against the USA because I want to get my guys back to spring training in one piece. I
Right.
want to get McNeil. I want to get Alonso. I want to get Adam Ottavino back to camp in
Yeah.
one piece.
Yeah.
I'm so afraid that one of them is going to get hurt and we can't. And as you said, yeah, I mean injuries happen, but it's just when it happens there. I mean, let's face it. People say that yeah, Diaz could have got hurt in camp just as well. But he got hurt celebrating something, a stupid little victory. He got hurt jumping up and down, and what happened.
Yeah.
It he wouldn't have been doing that in camp. He wouldn't have been jumping up and down. So, uh, you know, that argument kind of goes out the window, in my estimation.
Yeah.
The other thing is that now we've lost Altuve. Houston lost him, big name. Freeman, I think, will be ready, but imagine if
Was
he
he
got hurt,
was
the
he lost
Dodgers
the
lose.
whole season? Was Altuve lost the whole season? I hadn't heard that.
Nope. No, he's going to miss considerable time at the beginning of the season, though, because it is a broken finger.
Okay.
So he's going to miss some time. But still, I mean,
Being a
it,
Phillies fan, I like that. And that he
well,
was with Houston, but
yes, from that point of view, maybe. But I'm just saying, for the good of the game, losing these
yeah.
big name guys into what is essential. I don't care how they feel about it. It's essentially an exhibition, and again, they're not getting paid by these countries for it. Yeah, there's pride in wearing your country on your chest, but you know what? Save that for when you retire, or then quit. You give up your contract and go play for them. Then
Yeah, go play for peanuts
I mean,
over
he just
a
got
bag of
paid.
peanuts.
Edwin Diaz just signed a 5-year, $105 million contract. Now,
Yeah.
not only does he get paid, and okay, the Mets get insurance, they have insurance, so they get reimbursed. They don't lose the money, but they lose that year off his contract. So instead of having him for 5 years, they're only going to have him for 4 years. And who knows how he's going to be after this as well.
Yeah.
My point is, though, you know, I don't know. There should be something then. If you get hurt or something, your contract doesn't move ahead or whatever it is. I don't know. I don't know how you would work that out. You couldn't. But they're essentially paying him for nothing. And again, I know they're gonna get reimbursed with the money part of it, but they lost his services.
I know.
And for team that's built to win now, it just over an exhibition seems ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I think there's a better way of doing it. I think that I never liked it when the Olympics went to the pro players in basketball and in baseball, a couple of years that they had it. I never liked that. I think it was much better uh when it used to be just the amateurs when they had look how exciting the USA hockey was in 1980 when they won
Yeah.
the gold medal. Would that have meant this?
Unfortunately, it doesn't draw. So a World Baseball Classic with John Smiths and Jose Fernandez's everywhere is not going to draw. You're not going to get people to pay tickets. You're not going to get sold out stadiums. That's what the draw is. But yeah, I understand, and it's a tough break when something happens to a best player. Um, I don't know. I don't know how you can put a good handle on it, but in
Well,
that case, I know Met fans everywhere are heartbroken, and it might not be the end of injuries. There might be another injury come up. So um, tough break there, but you know, baseball does go on.
I think they have to figure out a way to play it in November because if a guy gets injured in November, there's a chance he can be back by the next season and not lose any time. Uh, in a case like this, I mean, he's out for 8 months.
Yeah,
I mean, if they played in November and he got hurt, he could be back by September of the season. At least he would be there for the tail end of the season. That's just an example. Um, I don't know. I've soured on the whole thing. As I said, I enjoyed the first couple of games, but
yeah,
once these injuries started happening, when Freeman went down, and then you start to think, oh, and then when Diaz went, that was really the kicker.
yeah,
Um, and then the attitude is a lot of these I don't know if it was all Latin. I think it was that I saw interviewed that said they'd rather be playing for the it's more important to play for the country.
yeah. I
Well,
can
then what are you
understand that.
signing a contract for $20 million a year? You're getting paid a boatload of money here, and then you're turning and saying that you know, is you enjoy playing for your country. One guy said, "Well, this is really the World Series." Well, okay, because you're playing against other teams, but they're not paying you the money.
Yeah, it's it's going to be six of one, half a dozen of the other with that. But I agree. Um, just to change gears here a little bit, and a couple days ago, I was saying we had the St. Patrick's Day game. That's one game that a lot of people look forward to, especially if you're down at spring training. And a lot of teams didn't get to wear the green jerseys this year. The Phillies being one of them. And every year, the Phillies have worn green
Oh,
jerseys, green hat.
yeah, I
Well,
noticed
now
that.
it seems like Nike, who took over the contract, has these weird rules that you can only get 4 sets of uniforms from them to wear at any one particular time. And even though a fun day like St. Patrick's Day, which, if I was down at spring training, it would have been for that game. And thank God I wasn't because I'd be a little upset. They did have some green hats on, the Phillies did
Yes,
against the Blue
yeah.
Jays, but nothing else. So, due to this rule from Nike, there was no green jerseys this year. So,
Ah,
what a shame. I mean, it's a fun
what
day.
do they? What do they mean? They're only allowed 4 jerseys. What is that?
Well,
You mean
that
like they only?
was the report from Nike that they're only allowing teams to have 4 sets of jerseys, and the Phillies have that filled up with their home jersey, their road jersey. They have a cream colored jersey which they picked up some years ago. I am not a fan of it. I don't like it personally. I wish they went back to the powder blues at some point. And then I think they have an all red jersey, something like that. But the Phillies, and they have this year, I believe they have City Connect, which is a goofy
Oh,
designed
that's
jersey
ridiculous.
from Nike that's going to look like crap. And I would love to use the other word, but this is a family show. It's going to look like crap. It's going to look like a kindergarten person, some kid somewhere made the jersey up, unfortunately, and that's going to be unveiled. But that's the bad truth of it. Nike has crept into this world. Now there's going to be jersey sponsor patches this
Oh
year.
god, yeah.
Phillies have not announced a deal with anybody yet, but it, baseball's changing this year more than any other year. It's going to be very interesting. We saw the pitch timing, the pitch clock make its debut not too long ago. Yeah, they're getting used to it a little bit, but it came through with some rough patches from different players. A lot of people don't like it. One of your own pitchers, Max Scherzer, had a big problem with it right off the bat for the Mets. So I think that's going to be something that we'll talk about a lot during this season.
Uh, yeah, I would just like to talk about what's going on in the field, but unfortunately, there's so much going on off the field that it's crazy, and rule changes and stuff. Um, so far, I haven't seen in any of the games I've seen a lot of impact with the rules. Carrasco pitched. He had a little trouble with the time clock twice, I think, yesterday in his game, or 2 days ago. But other than that, I haven't seen too much. You don't hear a lot about the bases or anything. I think in general they all kind of like it. Um, I guess the pitch clock really is the big thing that people have complained about or they've enjoyed, or some of the pitches not embracing it, but are trying to figure out a way of using it to their advantage, holding the ball to the last possible second, and then delivering the ball, and uh, you know, uh, uh, changing up their speed to the plate, so to throw the hitter off throw the hitter off. So
Mhm.
that'll be interesting to see as the season goes on how they handle that. But I don't know. I guess this WC Classic really bummed me out this week with the Diaz injury, and um, you hate to see anybody get hurt like that and miss the season. But then to
Yeah.
have Altuve last night, which is another kicker, because these guys are big stars. These are the stars of the game, and um you hate to see these guys going down to injuries again in an exhibition. Now, somebody brought up Gavin Lux. He got hurt in spring training. Uh, yeah, okay, yeah, it can happen anywhere, but the fact that it happened there is what concerns people because it did happen and it happened essentially in an exhibition. So people are angry about that, and I can't
Yeah.
say that I blame them.
That's for sure. Well, we'll have to see. Hopefully, the USA will continue their winning ways tonight. This is one and done tonight. USA versus Cuba, 7 p.m. Eastern time here, Eastern Daylight Savings Time, as we are now. USA versus Cuba. I'll probably watch this game. I'll be honest with you, I haven't watched too many of the World Baseball Classic games. I did tune into like China and another team one morning when I was getting ready going to work, but I haven't really made it a point to sit down and take some time to watch some of these games. But I'll probably watch the semifinal tonight, and of course, if the USA makes it to the next round, which is the championship game, that would be the 21st, which is Tuesday at 7 p.m. Lone Depot Park in Miami, Florida, for all the marbles. It'll be on Fox Sports 1. So check it out. Tuesday night, that'll be the championship. Tonight, as I said, it's going to be USA versus Cuba. If you're watching our podcast or listening to it on Sunday, March 19th, that's when the game is. And then March 20th, which is Monday night, Mexico and Japan face off at 7 p.m., also from Lone Depot Park in Miami, Florida. And two of these teams are going to make it to the championship. So hopefully your favorite team does.
Well, I tell you, the whole thing has almost been set up for the USA to win. I mean, they didn't. They went to Phoenix, and now they're going to Miami. I mean, that's come on. Where Italy and a lot of these teams went from Taipei to the U.S., had a long journey and all of this stuff. So, uh, it's set up for that way. But Cuba's got a good team. That's kind of another thing that I get to laugh about. When Cespedes is with the Cuban team. And this is the same Cuban team that he defected from to come to the United States. Now
Yeah.
he's
Now he's
playing
back.
for it.
Yeah. That's
Well, he's not in Cuba, but he's playing for the Cuban squad now that he's
right.
he's
He's
he's not in
he's
the
back
majors
with
anymore.
he's back
The
playing for the Cuban team. Yeah.
Now I get it. It's love of country. It's not he left because of a regime. I get that. He didn't leave because he dislikes his country, but
Yeah.
he's made his money over here. He's been living here for how many years,
Well, the
and
USA wouldn't have him on the team. So if he's going to
maybe not,
play,
maybe not, but I don't know. It's just it just I it's the same thing in golf. I'm a golfer. I like to follow the golf, and you get these guys that are all here now, from different countries. They get scholarships to college. They're living in Florida. They're living in California. They live in Arizona. Full time. I mean, we're not talking about. And then yet, when the Ryder Cup, they go play for Europe.
yeah.
Oh, we got to beat the USA. Beat the USA. You're making your money here. You're
Yeah.
living here. Your wife's an American in a lot of cases. They meet American girls naturally and they get married. I don't have a problem with that. But then, there's a Ryder Cup or something along that line, international competition, and right away they turn their back. Right away they're playing for Ireland or England or South Africa or this, that, and the other place.
Yeah.
Um, there was one guy, there's a big thing in golf now with this live golf, this competition to the PGA, and one guy's Australian. He goes, "Oh, I switched because now I can be home more." Well, what did you
Right.
get in this kind of profession if you want to be home more?
Yeah, you
You know what
wonder
I mean?
what the motivations are.
Because they play a couple of events in that part of the world, he can go home more. No, it's because they probably offered you $10 million a year without having to win a tournament. So that's why you wanted to go. Just admit that. Don't give me I wanted to be home more routine, because frankly I don't buy it.
Yeah.
Um, it's just look. I know there's greed on all athletes and stuff, but I think they got to start thinking about where their priorities lie, and in the case of this thing, their priorities should be lying with the team that signed them to a huge contract,
Yeah,
and
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 unfortunately though,
they don't.
um yeah, and they're from these other countries which we don't fully grasp. When we see or hear a certain player, we're assuming, he's matriculated into the USA, quote unquote. But no, their homes are back there, their families are back there. They just come here and play baseball, make a lot of money, and take it home to their real home. Unfortunately, but that's just the way it goes with, especially with baseball. Not so much with football. They're native born most of the time here in the country, and we
Yeah, a
don't
lot of them.
outsource players like the MLB does from seems like all over the place. But
Right, right.
it's uh it's a magical time for baseball with the World Baseball Classic. I think if we can push behind that and push that aside a little bit, it's a little fun. I'm looking forward to it. I hope if I go down to the casinos to watch the game that it'll be on the sports book. I know March Madness is playing right now, and that always takes a preference with the sports books. March Madness does. So I'm going to have to check the schedules tonight. I'm planning on wanting to go down to watch them on the big screens, this baseball game. So I did go. Funny story. About a week ago, I was off. I figured, oh, let me go down to the sports book. I'll watch the Phillies. You know, they're on spring training. I get down there, park, walk in, all set to watch this game. They didn't even have the game on. I was like, what is this? You know, like they had like some ESPN talk show on these twinkly eye
Oh,
screens. And needless to say, nobody was there anyway, but I was all settled in for a nice afternoon baseball, you know, maybe get an adult beverage, sit back, you know, and I had to leave. I was like, well, oh well.
they don't bother you?
No, not at all. So it was a fun trip. You know, but tonight I think the World Baseball Classic will be on. That is a legitimate game that counts. So
I don't. Yeah, but you
watch
still got that NCAA in there.
watch my Twitter feed though, at Fighting Phillies for later. If you're listening to this podcast and it gets out before 7 p.m., you'll see my my tirade. If it is not on the screen, I will go right up to the window and demand that they put it on one of the screens. But no, I'm
Yeah,
sure
can't
it would have to be on. It's a World Baseball Classic.
yeah. I mean, I don't see why they can't put it on one of the screens at least.
Yep.
I mean, it's not like you're looking for the Food Network Tournament of Champions or something, you know.
Yep.
Uh, which is an
Well,
interesting competition. Not, I'm not knocking that.
yeah.
I'm just
Well, it
trying.
looks like
I'm looking to see if I can see if there's any NCAA games.
for 7 o'clock or so. I'm sure there has to be. It is Sunday. March
But sometimes
Madness
they try to end like by 6 or so.
bracket schedule. Let's see. TV schedule. Blah 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 blah.
Oh yeah,
Probably a ton of games because there's what 64 teams. You get down to
you got
32.
Creighton versus Baylor,
Yeah, 6:30 p.m.
Miami versus Indiana.
Actually, though, it says games begin at 12:15 p.m., which of course wouldn't be the worst thing, but they're
Yep.
still at the round of 32, I believe. So there's still a lot of games to be played
Yeah.
in that.
TNT has got Miami, Indiana from 8:30 to 11,
Uh-huh. I think
and
I think one of
TBS
those
has
there's
Creighton
multiple
at Baylor.
screens at the sports book, so I'm sure they're going to have this game on. It's going to be an interesting game. There's going to be a lot of people there to see it. I mean, you have USA versus Cuba. It's going to be a good rivalry. So I'm let's say I'm going to bet that they're going to have that on. So if I lose the bet, go over to my Twitter feed at Fighting Phillies, and I will lament later on that I made a trip down there, and I'll just maybe do a little gambling, but no watching of the game.
Well, you have to look for people that look like baseball fans, and then if there's
Yes,
enough of you, you go up and you complain and ask them to put the game on. And
that's for
maybe
sure.
one of the TVs they can put the game on. I don't see
Oh,
anything wrong with
I'm
that.
sure. Yeah,
But
they're it's a whole wall of video screens.
yeah.
They're not
So
actually TVs, but yeah, I can't wait. Sounds like a nice, fun way to
Rich will be at the one of the
celebrate.
casinos at
Yeah.
signing autographs and giving out free copies of his new book.
Yes, just buy me a drink if you see me there. I will accept drinks. Thank you very much. Soda, of course.
So, of course, diet soda, of course.
Of course. But yeah, we've been recording with Zoom for the past year or so, plus with the podcast, doing some live streams. But now we've downgraded to the regular Zoom. So we're sort of up against time a little bit here. We got 5 minutes
see that.
left in
Yeah.
the podcast as we're counting down. It's actually fun to have a timer on our podcast here because it sort of like brings a hook out. If we're like, too long on certain things, that the hook's going to come out for us. We don't
Yeah.
have an unlimited time to state our case here, but I'm looking forward to the start of the season like no other. Going to opening day, I'm going to be off for that week. Going to go to a few games. I'm so happy that we're almost on the doorstep of a 2023 baseball season. A lot of the teams' media guides are out now, Gary. I think the Mets released theirs the other day. The Phillies have theirs out. So we'll be checking those out, of course. And long season, 162 games. Can you imagine 162 game season staring you in the face?
Yeah, it's tough, and I gotta have a dilemma here because I got interested in some other things now, and now baseball's coming up, and I'm gonna have some hard decisions. What do I watch?
Yeah, see, they're competing for the entertainment dollar.
Yeah,
It's
I'll have
all
to have one on the screen and one on the phone or the computer or something, and
can stream the game on the
uh,
radio and, have it low, watch
yeah.
something else, watch some
And
golf
then,
or
I might watch some minor league games too. So, jeez, I don't know what the heck I'm gonna do.
so tune in to our show next week. We will have our picks for the MLB.
Ooh.
Who's hot, who's not. I always look forward to this edition of our show, Gary. We keep the record all season long, of course, and then we review it at the end of the season. And we're usually right in the ballpark with most things. And we even have a knack of picking out those dark horses for the season. So get ready for that, everybody. Next week, our next show um, will be our MLB picks. So look forward to that. And we'll be talking about some more stars in the game of Major League Baseball. Gary will do some research on some minor league stuff, I'm sure. And Gary, I think the last time we spoke, we were saying that T-Mobile did not offer the MLB.TV, but they had since made the decision to carry it. Again, T-Mobile listeners will get a free subscription to MLB.TV at certain levels.
And I believe it said check after or check March 28th.
Yeah, which is close to the start of the season. I get a
Yeah.
free subscription through the Phillies, thank God for this year. And I haven't set it up yet, but I will be setting that up probably tonight. But yeah, MLB.TV, great bargain, I think. You can tune into games, watch your own games for your own teams a day later. You can't watch them live due to blackouts locally, but you can always review games if it's a week ago, if it's 2 weeks ago, if it's last night, you can play, that night's game. So I look forward to that. That's always a worthwhile investment.
And
And
Rich, with all the trouble with these regional TV networks going down, um, perhaps they'll do away with the blackout thing in
yeah,
maybe not this year, but next year, or I think it's on its way out, really.
yeah.
So you may be able to get the games in the future, or maybe even this year. Who knows?
Well,
But something to look into.
some of these companies spent way too much money, didn't have a revenue source to back it up. They gave the moon to some of these teams, and the teams gladly accepted it. But
Oh, of course.
now, time to pay the bill. You can't get the sponsors in to support all that money that was going out. So,
Right.
all that glitters is not gold, and I'm sure these companies found out. And now the MLB wants to sort of centralize this broadcasting, I think is what I heard. But
Right.
we're down to 45 seconds left in this show. Gary, you have a great week. Can't wait till next week to our MLB picks. and hope everybody tunes in.
Yep, and you do the same, Rich. We'll see you next time.